The sun shone brightly on the glass windows of Wilson Motors, the most famous car shop in town. Inside, everything looked clean and shiny. The cars gleamed under the bright lights. The showroom floor was so clean you could almost see your face in it. Mark Wilson fixed his red tie and brushed some dust off his dark blue suit. He was the best car seller at Wilson Motors for 3 years now. Everyone knew him as the man who could sell any car to anyone. His boss always praised him for making so much money for the shop. Mark looked at his golden watch. It was almost noon. The shop was not busy today. Only a few rich people walked around looking at the fancy cars. Mark liked these kinds of buyers. They had money and often bought cars without asking too many questions. These people gave him big money rewards for his work. The front door opened with a soft bell sound. Mark turned to look. A man walked in slowly. This new visitor made Mark frown. The man looked about 60 years old. He wore old blue jeans with patches on the knees. His brown jacket seemed worn out and too big for him. His shoes were dirty and had holes in them. His hands were rough and had many small cuts, showing he worked hard with them. Mark sighed loudly. He hated when poor people came into the shop just to look at cars they could never buy. It wasted his time. Every minute he spent with someone who would not buy a car meant less money for him. The other sellers in the shop suddenly found papers to check or phone calls to make. No one wanted to talk to the poor-looking man. That left Mark to deal with him. Mark walked over to the old man, but kept some distance. He did not offer to shake hands as he normally did with better-dressed visitors. "Can I help you?" Mark asked in a bored voice. He did not try to hide how annoyed he felt. The old man smiled warmly at Mark. His eyes were kind, but Mark did not notice. "Yes, please. I want to see that car." The man pointed to a shiny black car in the middle of the shop. It was the most expensive car they had. It cost more money than most people made in 5 years of work. Mark could not help but laugh. A few other people in the shop turned to look at them. "Sir, that car costs $200,000. Maybe you should try the used car shop down the street. They have cars for a few thousand." Mark spoke loudly so others could hear him. He wanted them to laugh with him. The old man's face turned a bit red, but he still spoke kindly. "I still want to see it, if that is okay." "Look," Mark said with a mean smile. "We both know you cannot buy this car. I have real buyers to help." He pointed at his watch. "I cannot waste my time showing you cars you will never own." The old man looked down at his worn-out shoes. The shop became very quiet. Everyone watched them now. Mark did not see his boss walking toward them with a worried look. He also did not see the front door opening again. A well-dressed woman walked in. She looked important and powerful. Many people in the shop knew who she was. Mark would soon learn that judging people by how they look could be the biggest mistake of his life. The woman who walked into the car shop was Susan Carter. Everyone in the business world knew her name. She owned Carter Industries, a company worth billions of dollars. She was famous for being smart and fair. She was also known for being loyal to her family. Susan walked straight toward the old man. Her high heels made sharp sounds on the clean floor. She wore a black suit that looked very expensive. Her hair was tied back neatly. She carried a small black bag that probably cost more than what Mark earned in a month. "Dad, sorry I am late," Susan called out. Her voice was clear and strong. Mark felt his heart stop for a moment. "Dad?" This poorly dressed old man was Susan Carter's father. Susan hugged the old man warmly. Then she turned to look at Mark. Her eyes were cold now. "Has my father picked out his birthday gift yet?" she asked. The smile on her face did not match her eyes. Mark knew she had heard how he talked to her father. "Your father?" Mark asked in a weak voice. His mouth felt very dry suddenly. "Yes, I told him to come and choose any card he wanted while I finished my meeting. I hope you took good care of him." Her voice had an edge to it now. Mr. Carter shrugged his shoulders. "This young man was just telling me I might be more comfortable at the used car shop down the street. Susan's fake smile disappeared completely. Is that so? Mark tried to fix his mistake quickly. There has been a mix-up. I was just saying we have many choices here, and I heard what you said. Mr. Carter spoke quietly, and you were not wrong. I am not here to buy one car. He looked at his daughter. Susan wants to replace all the company cars. How many was it, dear? 15, she answered firmly. But I think we should look at other shops now. Somewhere, they treat all people with respect. Mark felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. 15 new cars would have been the biggest sale of his life. His boss, Mr. Johnson, stepped forward quickly. He tried to save the situation. Mrs. Carter, please accept our deepest apology. Mark is new here and does not know our values yet. This was a lie. Mark had worked there for 3 years. Susan raised her hand to stop him from talking more. Your seller made his feelings very clear. My father worked fixing cars for 45 years. He knows more about these machines than anyone here. He does not dress to impress because he does not need to. As they turned to leave, Susan added, we were going to buy all 15 company cars here. And 2 more cars personally, one for my father and one for my mother's birthday next week. I guess your shop just lost 17 sales in total. Mr. Johnson's face turned white. That many luxury cars would bring in millions of dollars to the shop. He looked at Mark with anger in his eyes. After Susan and her father left, the shop stayed very quiet. No one spoke for a long time. Then Mr. Johnson told Mark to come to his office right away. Mark knew he was in big trouble. He had lost the shop a huge amount of money because he judged someone by their clothes. He had never felt so foolish in his life. What Mark did not know was that his troubles were just beginning. The worst was yet to come. Inside his office, Mr. Johnson sat behind his big desk. His face was red with anger. Mark stood in front of the desk feeling very small. His legs felt weak and his hands were shaking. Do you understand what you just did? Mr. Johnson asked in a quiet but very angry voice. Mark looked at the floor. I made a mistake. Mr. Johnson hit his desk hard with his hand. A mistake. You just lost us the biggest deal of the year. Maybe the biggest deal ever for this shop. Mark tried to explain. I did not know who he was. He looked poor. How could I know he was Susan Carter's father? Mr. Johnson stood up. He was so angry his face was now almost purple. That is exactly the problem. You judge people by how they look. That is not how we do business here. I am sorry, Mark said. I will call Mrs. Carter and fix this. It is too late, Mr. Johnson said. Her assistant just called. They are already at our biggest competitor's shop. They are buying all 17 cars there. Mark felt sick. This was very bad. I have worked here for 3 years, Mark said. I am your best seller. You cannot fire me for one mistake. Mr. Johnson looked at him hard. One mistake. Mark, we have had complaints about you before. You ignore people who do not look rich. You rush them out of the shop. Today it finally caught up with you. Please give me one more chance, Mark begged. Mr. Johnson sat back down. He looked very tired now. I will think about it overnight. Go home now. Come back tomorrow morning at 9. I will tell you my decision then. Mark left the office. The other workers looked away as he walked past them. No one wanted to talk to him. They knew he had caused big trouble for the shop. That night, Mark could not sleep. He kept thinking about what happened. He remembered all the times he had been rude to people who did not look rich enough. He had always thought it was smart business. Now he was not so sure. The next morning, Mark arrived at the shop at exactly 9. Mr. Johnson was waiting for him. Before I tell you my decision, you need to see something, Mr. Johnson said. He handed Mark the morning newspaper. On the business page, there was a big story. The headline read, Carter Industries signs record deal with Premier Motors. Premier Motors was their biggest competitor. Mark read more. The story said Susan Carter had bought 17 luxury cars worth over $3 million, but that was not all. She had also signed a 5-year deal to buy all future company cars from Premier Motors. The deal was worth at least $15 million. The newspaper had a picture of Susan Carter shaking hands with the owner of Premier Motors. Standing next to them was her father, still in his old clothes and work boots. He was smiling. "The damage you did is even worse than we thought," Mr. Johnson said. But that is not all. He turned the page. There was another story. It showed a picture of Susan Carter's father. The headline read, "Meet Tom Carter, the mechanic who built an empire." Mark read the story with growing horror. Tom Carter had started with one small garage 40 years ago. He had built it into the largest car repair business in the state. He had given the business to his daughter to run 10 years ago. But he still loved cars. He still dressed like a simple mechanic, because that was who he truly was at heart. Mark stepped into the small office behind Bill. His eyes took a moment to adjust to the dim light. When he could see clearly, he stopped suddenly. His mouth fell open in shock. Sitting at the desk was Tom Carter. He wore the same worn work jacket and old jeans. He had glasses on his nose and was looking at some papers. "Tom, this is the new worker I told you about," Bill said. "He needs training." Tom looked up and saw Mark. He recognized him at once. A look of surprise crossed his face. Then he smiled slightly. "Hello, Mark," Tom said calmly. "Life has a funny way of bringing people together again, does it not?" Mark could not speak. He felt his face grow hot with shame. Bill looked between them. "Do you two know each other?" "We met briefly at Wilson Motors," Tom said. He did not mention how badly Mark had treated him. "Good," Bill said. "Then you already know each other. Tom works here 3 days a week. He is our best seller even though he only works part-time." Mark finally found his voice. "I do not understand. You own a huge car repair business. Why do you work here selling used cars?" Tom leaned back in his chair. "I love cars. I love helping people find the right car for their needs and their money. Bill is an old friend. When I said I was bored in retirement, he offered me this job. I give all the money I earn here to a school that trains young car repair workers." Bill nodded. "Tom has helped many poor families get good, safe cars they can really afford. He is amazing at matching people with the right vehicle." Mark stood there feeling more and more uncomfortable. The man he had treated so badly was now going to be his teacher, and that man was not only rich and powerful, but also kind and generous. Tom looked at Mark for a long moment. Then he spoke to Bill. "I will train him. Everyone deserves a second chance. We all make mistakes." Bill seemed happy with this. "Great. I will let you two talk. Mark starts tomorrow at 8 in the morning." He left the office, closing the door behind him. Mark and Tom were alone. The silence felt heavy. "Mr. Carter, I am so sorry for how I treated you," Mark finally said. "I was wrong. Very wrong." Tom nodded. "Yes, you were. But the question is, have you learned from it?" "I have," Mark said quickly. "I will never judge anyone by how they look again." "It is not just about how people look," Tom said. "It is about treating everyone with respect. Every person has value. Every person deserves your best service. Rich or poor, young or old, it does not matter." Mark nodded. "I understand now. I really do." "Good," Tom said. "Then let me tell you how we sell cars here. We do not try to get the most money from each person. We try to find the best car for each person's needs and budget. We are honest about problems. We never hide anything. We want people to be happy with their car for many years." This was very different from how Mark had sold cars before. He had always tried to get the highest price possible. He had sometimes hidden small problems to make a sale. "I will need to learn a new way of selling," Mark admitted. "Yes," Tom agreed, "and it will be hard at first. But it is the right way. And in the end, you will feel better about yourself and your work." Mark thought about this. Maybe Tom was right. Maybe there was a better way to sell cars, a way that helped people instead of just making money. The next morning, Mark arrived at the used car lot at 7:30. He wanted to be early on his first day. He wore his best suit and tie. He was surprised to see Tom already there, walking around the cars with a cloth, wiping dust off them. "Good morning," Mark said. "You are here early." Tom looked up and smiled. "I like to make sure the cars are clean before customers come. First impressions matter." "I can help," Mark offered. He took off his suit jacket and rolled up his sleeves. For the next half hour, they cleaned cars together. Tom showed Mark how to check each car for problems. He showed him how to test if the lights worked and if the tires had enough air. "We want to sell good cars," Tom explained, "not perfect cars. No used car is perfect, but they should be safe and reliable." At 8, Bill arrived and opened the office. He looked surprised to see Mark already working. "You made it on time," Bill said. "That is a good start." "He was early," Tom told Bill, "and he has been helping me check the cars." The first customer arrived at 9:30. It was a young woman with 2 small children. She looked worried. "My car broke down yesterday," she told them. "I need something cheap but good. I drive my kids to school every day." At his old job, Mark would have ignored this woman. She clearly did not have much money. But now he watched as Tom helped her. "What is your budget?" Tom asked kindly. "I only have $3,000, she said. "I know that is not much. We have several good cars in that price range," Tom said. "Let me show you." Tom showed her 3 cars. He explained honestly what was good and bad about each one. One car had high miles but a new engine. Another was older but had been well cared for by one owner. The third was smaller but had the best gas mileage. The woman listened carefully. The small one would be best, she decided, to save money on gas. "That is a good choice," Tom agreed. "Now let me show you everything about it." Tom spent an hour with the woman. He showed her how to check the oil. He showed her what sounds were normal and what sounds would mean trouble. He even helped her set up a child's seat in the back. When she left with her new car, she was smiling. She had only spent $2,800. At his old job, Mark would have thought this was a waste of time. But the woman was so happy and grateful. "You could have sold her a more expensive car," Mark said to Tom. "She trusted you. You could have made more money." Tom looked at Mark with serious eyes. That woman needed a good, cheap car. She needed to save money for her children. I found her exactly what she needed. That is my job. "But the shop made less money," Mark pointed out. "The shop made a fair profit," Tom replied. "And we made a customer who will tell her friends about us. That is how you build a business that lasts." Mark thought about this. It was very different from what he had learned before. The day continued with more customers. Tom let Mark talk to some of them. He guided him when needed. Mark was surprised to find he enjoyed helping people find cars they could really afford. At the end of the day, they had sold 4 cars. None were expensive, but all the customers left happy. "You did well today," Tom told Mark. "You are a good listener when you try." Mark felt a strange feeling. It was pride, but different from before. He was proud not of how much money he had made, but of how he had helped people. A week passed. Mark learned more each day. Tom was a patient teacher. He showed Mark how to talk to all kinds of people. He taught him how to listen to what people really needed, not just what they said they wanted. People often come asking for one thing, but they really need something else, Tom explained. A man might say he wants a sports car, but what he really needs is a safe car for his family. Mark got better at helping customers find the right car. He stopped trying to sell the most expensive car on the lot. Instead, he tried to find the best match for each person. One day, a tall man in an expensive suit came to the lot. Mark recognized him right away. It was Robert Chen, a rich businessman who had bought 3 cars from Mark at Wilson Motors. "Mark." Mr. Chen looked surprised. "What are you doing here? I thought you worked at Wilson Motors." Mark felt his face grow hot with shame. I was fired, he admitted. I made a big mistake. Mr. Chen nodded. I heard about that. The Tom Carter incident. Everyone in the business world was talking about it. Yes, Mark said. And now Tom works here too. He is teaching me how to be a better car seller. Mr. Chen looked around the small used car lot. Well, I need a car for my son. He just got his license. I was going to go to Wilson Motors, but since you are here, maybe you can help me. In the past, Mark would have tried to sell Mr. Chen the most expensive car on the lot. But now he asked different questions. What kind of driver is your son? Is he careful or does he like to go fast? How much experience does he have? Mr. Chen seemed surprised by these questions. He is 16. This is his first car. I want something safe but not too powerful. I do not want him dragging too fast. Mark nodded. Then you do not want a sports car. You want something solid and safe. He showed Mr. Chen 3 cars. One was newer but had a powerful engine. Another was older but very heavy and strong. The third was a recent model with good safety features but a smaller engine. This third one would be best for a new young driver, Mark explained. It has good airbags and safety systems. The engine is not too powerful. It gets good gas mileage. And it is easy to park, which is important for new drivers. Mr. Chen studied the car. How much is it? 12,000, Mark said. But we just got it yesterday. We have not fixed the small dent in the door or replaced the worn tires yet. If you want it now, I can sell it for 10,000. If you want to wait until we fix those things, it will be 12,000. Mr. Chen looked at Mark with surprise. At Wilson Motors, you would never have told me about the dent or the tires until after I bought it. Mark nodded. I know. I was wrong to sell cars that way. Tom has taught me to be honest about everything. I like this new Mark better, Mr. Chen said with a smile. I will take the car for 10,000. My son can learn about fixing dents and changing tires. That will be good for him. After Mr. Chen left with the car, Tom came over to Mark. I saw you talking to that man in the nice suit. He looked familiar. He was a customer at Wilson Motors, Mark explained. He used to buy expensive cars from me. And today I sold him a safe car for his teenage son. For how much? 10,000, Mark said. I told him about the dent and the bad tires. I gave him a discount because of those problems. Tom smiled. You are learning. Was the man happy? Yes, Mark said. He said he likes the new Mark better than the old one. So do I, Tom said. So do I. 1 month later, Mark had changed a lot. He no longer wore fancy suits to work. He wore clean but simple clothes. He had learned how to fix small problems on cars. He knew how to talk to all kinds of people. Most important, he had learned to respect everyone who came to the lot. He did not care if they wore old clothes or if they did not have much money. He treated everyone the same way, with kindness and honesty. Tom noticed these changes. You are doing well, he told Mark. You have become a good car seller. I have a good teacher, Mark replied. He truly meant it. One day, something unexpected happened. Susan Carter came to the used car lot. She was still dressed in expensive clothes. She still looked powerful and important. But this time, she was not angry. When she saw Mark, her eyes went wide with surprise. You work here now? Yes, Mark said. He felt nervous, but he did not hide. Your father has been teaching me. I am sorry for how I treated him at Wilson Motors. I was very wrong. Susan looked at her father, who had just walked out of the office. Dad, did you know he worked here? Tom smiled. Of course I knew. I am his teacher. Susan shook her head in amazement. And how is he doing? He has learned a lot, Tom said. He is not the same man who was rude to me that day. Susan seemed to think about this. Then she turned to Mark. My company needs a small car for our office. People use it to run errands and make deliveries. Nothing fancy, just something reliable. Mark nodded. I think I have just what you need. Let me show you. He showed her a small blue car. It was 5 years old but in good condition. This car is perfect for city driving. It is easy to park. It gets good gas mileage. The engine was just checked last week. It needs new brakes soon, but we can fix that before you buy it. Susan looked at the car carefully. How much is it? 8,000, Mark said. But I need to be honest with you. There is a small problem with the air conditioning. Sometimes it makes a noise. We can fix that too, but it will take a few days. Susan looked at Mark for a long moment. Then she smiled. My father is right. You have changed. I have. Mark agreed. I learned that selling cars is not just about making money. It is about helping people. Susan nodded. We will take the car, fix the brakes and the air conditioning first. After she left, Tom came over to Mark. You did well. You were honest even though you were nervous. I was very nervous, Mark admitted. I thought she still hated me. Susan does not hate people, Tom said. She just does not like when people are treated badly. The next day, Bill called Mark into his office. I have news, he said. The 3-month trial is over. You have done very well. I want to make you a permanent worker here. Mark felt happy. Thank you. I enjoy working here. There is more, Bill said. I got a call from Susan Carter today. She wants our shop to take care of all her company's used cars. They buy cars for workers who need to visit customers. They need someone to find good used cars for them. That is a big job, Mark said. It could mean selling 20 or 30 cars a year to them. Yes, Bill agreed. And Susan asked for you to handle it. She said she trusts you now. Mark could not believe it. Just a few months ago, he had lost his job for being rude to Tom Carter. Now Tom's daughter wanted him to find cars for her company. Life is strange, Mark said. If I had not been fired, I would never have learned these important lessons. Sometimes the best lessons come from our biggest mistakes, Bill said. That evening, Mark saw Tom getting ready to leave. I heard about Susan asking for me to find cars for her company, he said. Did you tell her to do that? Tom shook his head. No, Susan makes her own decisions. She saw that you have changed. She believes in giving people second chances, just like I do. Thank you, Mark said, for everything you taught me. You are welcome, Tom replied. But you did the hard work. You were willing to change. Many people are not. 1 year had passed since Mark lost his job at Wilson Motors. So much had changed in that time. He was now the manager of Green Used Cars. Bill had promoted him 3 months ago. The shop was doing very well. They had expanded the lot to hold more cars. They had hired 2 new workers. Much of their success came from the deal with Carter Industries. Susan's company now bought all their used cars from Mark. On this particular morning, Mark arrived at work to find a surprise. A shiny new sign was being put up over the office. It read Carter Green Used Cars. Tom walked up beside Mark. What do you think of the new name? Carter Green, Mark asked, confused. What happened? My daughter and Bill made a deal, Tom explained. Susan bought half of the business. She and Bill are now partners. Why would she do that? Mark asked. Her company is huge. This is just a small used car lot. Susan believes in what we do here, Tom said. She likes how we help people find good cars they can afford. With her money, we can open more lots in other parts of the city. Just then, a black luxury car pulled into the lot. It was Susan. She got out and walked over to them. Good morning, she said with a smile. I see you noticed our new sign. It looks great, Mark said. Tom just told me about the partnership. Congratulations. Thank you, Susan replied. But that is not the only reason I am here today. I have news for both of you. She turned to her father first. Dad, it is time for you to really retire. You have been working your whole life. Mom wants to travel more. You promised her. Tom smiled. I know, but I enjoy working here. You can still visit, Susan said, but no more working 5 days a week. Tom nodded. All right. For your mother, I will cut back to 1 day a week. Good, Susan said. She turned to Mark. And I have news for you too. Mark waited nervously. Was she going to fire him now that she owned half the business? I want you to be the new head of used car operations for all of Carter Industries, Susan said. We are going to open 5 more lots like this one. You will be in charge of all of them. Mark could not believe his ears. Me? But why? Because you learned the most important lesson in business, Susan replied. Treat everyone with respect and honesty. That is how my father built his business. That is how I run my business. And that is how you run this lot. I learned from the best, Mark said, looking at Tom. Tom smiled proudly. Sometimes the teacher learns from the student too. Watching you change this past year has taught me that people really can become better if given the chance. A car pulled into the lot. It was an old truck that made a loud noise as it stopped. A man in dirty work clothes got out. He looked worried. I need to see if I can trade this old truck for something better, the man called out. It is breaking down, but I do not have much money. 1 year ago, Mark would have ignored this man. He would have seen only the dirty clothes and old truck. He would have judged him as poor and not worth his time. But now Mark smiled warmly and walked toward the man with his hand out. Welcome to Carter Green Used Cars. My name is Mark. Let me help you find exactly what you need. As Mark talked with the man, Tom and Susan watched. He really has changed, Susan said quietly. Yes, Tom agreed. He learned that the clothes a person wears or the car they drive does not show their true worth. He learned to see the person, not just what they own. I am glad you gave him a second chance, Dad. Everyone deserves a second chance, Tom said. Look what he did with his. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Mark showed the man in work clothes several affordable trucks. He was patient and honest. He pointed out problems and good points. He treated the man with respect. And behind him, Tom Carter smiled, knowing that his most important lesson had been passed on and would continue to help people long after he retired. The end.